everybody. It's week 2 on It's Tea Time, and the question is, when did you realize that you were trans? And I never really realized until very recently, and it was a shock to me, but it was really funny because there's a lot of foreshadowing in my life, and I just could never make the connection. When I was younger, anytime I played games pretend I'd be the boy Power Rangers. And eventually, as I got older, and I think it became weirder, like even within elementary school, to play guy characters, I would still want to be guy characters, and so when we played like House or other pretend games, I'd opt to be a dog instead, a boy dog named Steve. But yeah, that was definitely better than pretending to be a girl, because that's not what I wanted to pretend to be. I didn't want to be anyone's mom. So, yeah, in middle school, I decided to start going by Bob, and the reason that happened is there's this anime Cowboy Bebop, and there's a girl named Ed, and my friends were really into that show, and that like became a good reason to be a girl named Bob, and like everyone just called me that, and it stuck. And I think because I'm just kind of a weird person, or I decided just to express myself the way I wanted to, not necessarily as male, but as like something very unique, that Bob really stuck. Like I think a lot of people stopped seeing me as a boy or a girl, but as that androgynous person, Bob. And yeah, and actually like wrote a paper about being trans without knowing it. In my freshman year of college, my instructor had us write a paper this was the first paper, just kind of to introduce ourselves and maybe talk about, a cool tattoo we had or some significant life event we had. And I don't know, the instructor was really inspiring, and I decided to write about how I had always wanted to be a guy. And it was really funny. I wrote this paper, and people were saying to me like, "Oh man, it's so great that you were sharing this," and like my instructor asked me if she should call me Bob in class, and I was like, yeah, sure, like it doesn't really matter. And she asked me if I was considering a sex change operation, and at the time I was like, nah, that's weird, because it didn't seem like normal people did that. It was just something that you saw on talk shows, and it wasn't like I was disgusted by those people. It was just so foreign. Like, only people who end up on TV do this. And I think because a lot of trans people aren't visible, like the camera cut out. So yeah, so because a lot of trans people aren't visible, it just seems like there were very few, and they were only on talk shows. And so that was pretty funny. I just kind of brushed it off. And then a year later, I met this girl. We were going on a date, and she revealed that she was trans. And at the time, I was like, whoa, what is that? Well, I really like her. She's funny and, pretty, etc., etc. So I'm just going to forget about that for now and try and figure out what that is later and just enjoy this date. And we started dating, and her friends were like, "Oh, you go by Bob, like, are you trans?" And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, "Well, do you like being called he?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, we can just call you that." And so she and her friends started calling me that, and I guess it was somewhere around there that I realized that I was trans. I just needed someone to show up and be like, "Hey, you can do this," because before that, I had no idea you could transition, that everyday people transition, that anyone could be trans. And yeah, I just lived most of my life believing that it was a fantasy to get to become the gender that I wanted to be. Like, it only happened in cartoons or movies that dreams like this come true. And so I never felt like I was oppressed or anything, because I didn't know I could be trans. Like, yeah, it's just amazing that I get to transition. So I guess I found out that I was trans when I was 19, but, you know, I felt that way my whole life. I just didn't have a name for it. Yeah. Did you ever figure it out? It was you, wasn't it? It was you. How could you not know the name change, the clothes, the lack of a penis? How could you not know? You're an idiot. Yourself. To give me a boy's haircut. Did you ever figure out who it was? No, you idiot. It was you and me. Okay, one more shot. And in blah blah blah.